Hello, everybody. How are you today?
Good, ma'am.
Good, thank you.
That's great to hear. Get my little chat window so I can see everybody chatting. All right, so I have a PowerPoint, so I'm going to share my screen. All right. Okay, it's 2 o'clock. Hopefully everybody's in, 2:01, so we'll make a start. Welcome everyone to our first workshop. My name is Vicky Dunk and I am the unit assessor for this term. So this session that we're going to do now is about, I've tried to pick like one big idea for each of the workshop sessions. So this one's going to be about theories, and we're going to unpack what a theory actually is and how theories help us understand development and learning and why they might matter for you as a future teacher. But before we dive in, I am going to do a acknowledgement of country. So I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet and learn, and pay my respects to the elders past and present. I also extend that respect to any First Nations people who are joining us today. All right, so our roadmap for today is I'm going to try and activate some things you already know, and then we're going to explore what a theory is and how theories differ. And then we'll try to apply these ideas to a short classroom example and look at how you might use that in your first assessment. All right, so before we start defining theories, let's sort of bring to the surface of our minds what explanations you already have inside of your brain about how learning and development happen. So in the chat, write one explanation you've heard or believe about how children learn and change. So it might be something like they learn through reinforcement, or they learn by imitation, or something like that. My chat. Yep, yeah, oh yes, peer pressure, very important. Trial and error. Imitation, yep. Positive reinforcement I see there. Oh, what was that? Something popped up. Yes, their own curiosity, like little scientists, like Piaget says. Okay, so I can see lots of awesome ideas in there, and you've just demonstrated why theories exist. When scientists and educators saw all these different explanations about what they thought were going on, that's how they started to build theories, which are organized systems of ideas. And then they test those ideas to see where the evidence fits best. So what explanation best fits the evidence? So today we'll look at what counts as a theory and how theories are developed and how they guide what teachers do. Just as a quick poll, I haven't tried polls in Zoom before. At my old uni, I used Collaborate more than this. I don't see them there now. Oh, there they are. All right, we've got a quick poll. See how we go with that. Can you see that? Oh, there. Do you think our understanding of learning theories, learning as a thing, changes over time, or do you think it's fairly static? Okay, great. Everyone thinks that that's going to change over time, and that's because of different evidence. Theories and hypotheses and things like that, they fit the best explanation at the time. And usually when we get new technology or, new ways of looking at things, that's when theories might start to change a little bit because we get some more information that we didn't have before, and it doesn't quite fit what we thought originally. So sometimes we have to modify theories. All right. Okay. So most of you said yes. I don't know if you can see that. I can't see that on my screen at all. Sorry. All right, let's get rid of that.
Yeah, we saw it, Vicky.
Awesome, thank you.
That's the web. Right.
Okay, so let's go with, so what is actually a theory? A theory is a set of connected ideas that helps explain how or why something happens. So it's not just a single fact or an opinion, it's an organized way of thinking about evidence. So for example, in science, we might have a theory that explains the gravity, okay? So it explains how objects are pulled into the Earth's rotation or whatever. In education and developmental psychology, we have theories that explain how people learn, how they think, and how they develop. So theories that are built from observation, from research, where we test hypotheses. So we don't kind of just make them up. We sort of might have some ideas at the start and then we test our ideas. And because of that, they can change over time as new science emerges. And one of the easiest ways to think about a theory is it's like a lens. So if you put on a pair of glasses and it changes the way you see the world, using a theory can change how you interpret what's happening in the classroom. So without a theory, you're just describing what you see. The child isn't concentrating or she's very independent. But with a theory, you can ask deeper questions. So what are the cognitive processes that are happening with the child? How does the social environment shape this behaviour? What might this tell us about their readiness for learning or their motivation for learning? So theories turn these descriptions into explanations, and that's the real difference. So I've got another little chat prompt. So type in the chat, why do you think teachers might need theories, and what do you think they might do with them in the classroom? So I'm getting some to guide their practice. Base their strategies on, that's very good. Understand the students and their learning, so that will be very helpful. Okay, I'm getting some very good answers there. All right, let's have a look at this one. So I've got a bit of a Venn diagram there. The three theories that I have focused in on for the first module are Piaget, who his theory was about what's happening inside the learner's mind. And it was about cognitive development, and it's a very individual thing. Okay, so each individual child's development inside their brain. We also looked at Vygotsky, who was focused on interaction. So how learning first happens between people through language and culture, and that helps the child to develop. So Vygotsky's theory was very social and cultural and very dependent on language. And then the third one that we focused on was Bronfenbrenner, and he zoomed out a very long way and looked at context. So the systems of the family, the school, the society, on all of those things that can have influence on development. But the important thing to keep in mind is that humans are complex, multidimensional beings, and no single theory can capture everything about how we grow and learn. So each of these theories explains part of the picture. So one helps understand the thinking, another helps understand the relationships, and the next understanding the environment. But none of those theories explain everything that happens. And that's why in education, when we use theories as tools, we're usually combining them. We know these all separate things, we combine all the theories together, and then it helps us to see our learners more completely. If you had to pick one of these three, which of the three lenses do you think influences learning the most? Would you pick individual, the social world, or the environment?
Vygotsky.
Vygotsky, so you think the social world is the most important influence on the learner?
Yeah. I mean, they're all important and kind of go hand in hand, but then if I had to pick one.
That's fair enough. I agree. They're all important, and then there's no single one right answer. But you know, everyone's going to lean a certain way with these theories. Like you might lean more towards the social stuff or the environmental stuff. All right, awesome. Okay, let's have a look at why this might matter in teaching. So why do teachers actually need to know theories? They help us make decisions every day in the classroom. So each of the theories is highlighting something different about the learners and learning. So Piaget reminds us that the students have to build understanding inside their own brain by making connections in there. Okay, his is a cognitive theory inside the individual. So, and his is a staged theory. Okay, so in the tutorial, I talk more about the staged and the continuous. I've got a little slide coming up next, but you can't put learning in place if you're not matching the stage that the child is at, especially in those younger years. Like they have a certain amount of readiness, they have a certain abilities that they can and can't do at different ages. So there's not much point trying to get them to do something they can't actually do yet. So that's how Piaget helps us remember to align the tasks with the developmental stage. Vygotsky reminds us that learning is social and we can design collaborative activities and scaffolded activities. It's really important to get people talking to each other when they're learning new information, because as they're talking it through, that's going to help the cognitive development in their brain. Sometimes they'll say, hang on, that's not quite right. Or, you know, their friend will say, oh, I think it's a bit different like this. It's a collaborative thing for sure. And then Bronfenbrenner reminds us that what's happening at home or in the community can also influence what's happening in the classroom. So when you're planning lessons or analysing behavioural theories, the theories are giving you a framework to interpret what you see instead of guessing. I've got another little chat prompt here. In the chat, type one classroom situation where theory might help you make sense of what's happening. Or if you'd like to just tell me one, you can just turn your microphone on and tell me one. So for example, a student losing focus might work better in pairs or something like that. No one's got some theories about that one?
Hi, Vicky. I would like to have a go.
Yeah.
So I can think of one basing on Vygotsky's scaffolding, so gradual release of responsibility. I think that's very much practiced in the classrooms, and I think that's very useful in a lot of contexts, I think in all learning areas. But if I just talk about maths at this point, so I think the I do, we do, and you do. So I think that really helps students learn by guided practice, and when they're shown how to do the thing, and then they're being practiced, and then they practice it along with the teacher, and then gradually they're able to do it independently. So I could think of that in the terms of scaffolding.
Yes, definitely. That's an excellent one. Does anyone else want to have a go?
I think interaction is very important in the class when you teach to someone.
I do
Or
too.
face to face. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can give a task to the student which tests their ability and their thinking ability. Then from there, the teacher can design something like a different theories that supports the students, that matches the student abilities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a student missing the first weeks of class, both Piaget and Bronfenbrenner. The student is missing key info from a previous session. Is there a little bit more there? And probably some interaction as well, I would think. I think it might be very hard for students coming in late because peer groups might have already been formed, or if a student has to repeat a year and then peer groups, they have to sort of break into peer groups. Yes, and we can definitely pair stronger and weaker students so that there's a more knowledgeable other to help. That is the reward system, like extra credit or stars, is a good behavioural theory, and we'll talk about that one in a couple of weeks' time. So that's none of these ones. That's behaviourists like Skinner who think of rewards and things like that.
I have a question.
Yep.
When we're talking about environment, are we focusing on the physical environment itself? For example, classroom, or if the students are outdoors, or does it have to be environment in general?
It's environment in general. It's environment from like a nature versus nurture perspective.
All right. Okay.
So it's, yeah, just what's the context of what's happening around the child, I guess. All right, let's have a look what we got next. Oh, and this is what I'm just going to mention, the nature versus nurture thing. So all of these developmental theories, how children develop, are built around some long-standing debates in the psychological field. So the first one is this nature versus nurture thing. So are we shaped more by our biology or by our experience? So most modern researchers say that both of these things are interacting continuously now. So things like your DNA, so that would be your nature, directly affected by your environment. So your nutrition or the sunlight or, other things that are around you can turn on or turn off your DNA in various ways. So that will affect how you develop. So a long time ago, when we didn't fully understand these things scientifically, there was a very strong debate about whether things were nature or nurture. The second big debate is this thing about whether it's a continuous development. So we start very small and we grow continuously bigger, okay? Or whether there are stages. So in Piaget's theory, there's stages. So what he says is that a child in this age group can do these things and a child in the next age group can do different things. Okay, and he looks at it as separate stages rather than a continuous development. And the third one is the one course versus many courses of development. So that's to say that, do all children follow the same developmental path? They start as a baby and they go through all of these developmental milestones, and you know, they must do this at this time and they must do that at that time in order to be a complete human being at the end. Or are there many different ways that we can get from being a baby to being a complete adult human at the end of it all? So, you know, different cultures, different negative or positive things that happen during the course of your life. How much of an impact do these things have? Is it possible to recover from some trauma experience, or is it not possible? So the one course one might suggest that it isn't possible. If some trauma happens, well, that's it. You've done and gone and done it. Whereas the many courses one would suggest that there are many different ways to get to the end point, and as long as you've got the supports and things that you need somewhere along the course, you'll get there in the end. And that's probably, you know, all of these things are old debates and they're less debated these days. So most modern researchers think more along this many courses thing, and that if we get an intervention in, we can make a difference in the course of the development. All right. What do you guys think about that? How do you think children develop? Does anyone want to have a chat or a type about that?
Yeah, I just have a brief thought on the one courses versus many courses conception, and I'm curious about which. I mean, I guess this also interlinks with the nature versus nurture spectrum, but you know, in many different cultures, there's different milestones of what exactly constitutes a transition between childhood and adulthood. You know, for instance, we may say that we're skipping some special rite of passage that is seemingly critical for adulthood in another culture, but in our particular culture, it might be not even considered. You know, we don't have to go out and hunt a bear or what have you, but
yeah, for sure.
I'm sort of wondering what are some of the maybe more inherently human milestones that are really maybe one course rather than many courses, like some fundamental things that make one an adult versus a child. And
Well, I don't think it's always adult versus child. I think it's sometimes like you would say that people are less well adjusted or less able to do certain things because of the trajectory that they've come on. Does anyone else have any thoughts on that? Reb, do you have any thoughts on that?
Hi,
Then
everyone. My name is Reb. You can see my name listed as Rebecca Madsen, but I go by Reb. And I'm just here in support to Vicky. So I'm not a student. I'm the one that's putting all the thumbs up and what's not on all of the great comments that are coming through. So Vicky, there's a interesting one here that somebody put in the chat saying, so Edward Narayan said, children can also be gifted and jump a stage or two. This can be a problem with the stage theory. So I think that one might be worth having a bit of a chat about, because I sort of feel like in stage theories, children won't jump a stage. They might just move through one a bit quicker. Would you agree?
I would agree
Yep.
with that, yeah.
There you go, Edward. Does that help?
Yes, Rebecca. Thanks, Vicky.
No worries. I think, yeah, with that stage one, if you look at what Piaget is actually talking about, so there's different things that can be counted as stage. I mentioned in the tutorial, and I will again in the other tutorials, there was a fellow called Gesell who was the one who came up with a lot of the milestones that we use to measure children. So he did a lot of measuring of children and getting the means and the medians and saying, you know, you should be this tall and this heavy and all these other things about the growth of children. And they should roll over at this age and they should sit up at that age and all of that sort of, all of those kinds of milestones. He was sort of involved with that. And those are different than Piaget's milestones because his are cognitive only, like just a child is able to think abstractly or not think abstractly. You know, there's a point where children, and I think it's in the little video that I put up for you, where they can look at an equal amount of water in two different shaped containers and they'll think they're one container holds more water than the other one because it's a different shape. So they can't think abstractly about the amount of water. So I don't think you can jump over that kind of thing. They might move through that quickly and really get it quite fast. Okay, yes, I get that. I can think abstractly now. But they still started off not being able to think abstractly, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah.
So, Vicky, sorry, Vicky,
Yep.
can you hear me? Edward here.
Yes.
So, do you?
Yes.
I just wanted to pick your brain on that cognitive theory. Do you think that? What are your thoughts around that Piaget's? You know that it's staged. So, does that mean that the brain is still developing? What aspect of the brain is still developing in that sense?
The brain is still developing until we're 25 years old. So
Okay.
the brain is definitely still developing,
So
making connections.
it's the neurons that are actually
Yes,
sort of,
the neurons, yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So there'll be a whole lot of in the early years, there's an expansion of the whole thing. And then you get to your adolescence, teenage years, and there's a lot of pruning. So we prune it all back to what we need now. And then the very front part of your brain doesn't stop developing until you're about 25. Through the whole of your life, you can still get new neurons and you can still get new synapses, but the basic kind of architecture is finished when you're about 25 years old. So that's why it seems like we go through these different phases because the brain is still developing.
Thank you.
All right, so some excellent chat going on there in the chat. So if we put some theory into action now, so we've got this little example here where we have a child who is building a tower of blocks. And if we think about how each one of our theorists might explain what's happening, so Piaget might look at that child and think, she's experimenting, she's using trial and error, she's beginning to understand cause and effect. Whereas Vygotsky might draw your attention to any social interaction. So maybe there's an adult or peer that has helped the child be able to build the blocks and now she's kind of refining her strategy. Whereas Bronfenbrenner would ask about the broader social context. So the play environment, the cultural expectations around independence or access to materials. So we can look at that observation and we can understand three different interpretations using those three theories. Does that help at all? Which theory do you think is the best one for that picture? we do still learn new skills post 25, and I will talk about that in another lesson. It's about the synapses, so the neuroplasticity. All right, so Piaget, everyone's very happy with Piaget there. She's individual. We can't see any other people around. She looks like she's doing a little bit of experimentation there. So with Piaget's theory, he thinks that all people are little scientists who are just doing little experiments all the time to see what happens. All right, so some misconceptions about theories, some things that they are and some things that they are not. So theories are not fixed truths. If we get new information, theories will evolve and change as we get more evidence. Theories compete. One of them must be right and one of them must be wrong. That's not really how it works. So often they'll describe different parts of the same phenomena. So they might sit side by side with each other rather than competing. Some theories do compete with each other. There's no doubt about that. But not all theories have to compete with each other. Using theories is about memorizing names and stages. Well, it's not that useful just to know the names of things. I was just watching a funny video this morning from Feynman where he said he never learnt the names of anything because knowing the names of things is not knowing what the thing is or does. So it is good to know the names of things, he said at the end of the video, because then you can have discussions with people. But yeah, just memorizing the names of the theories and the stages is not really helpful. You need to be able to apply them to interpret what you're observing. And a myth here, a good teacher doesn't need theories, just experience. But experience with theories is going to help you have a more informed practice and make better decisions. Does anyone have any comments about that?
Vicky, sorry, Edward here.
Yeah.
When we look at the Australian curriculum, is it something that these theories are sort of, it's front face where the teachers have to apply them, or is it something that can be done, like indirectly through how you're developing your, lesson plans and things like that? What's the draw line like?
It's very indirect. So hopefully as we go through this subject, so
Yep.
I'm going to talk in the first 3 weeks about development, and then in the second 3 weeks, I'm going to talk about how you're going to use the theories to help you write your lesson plans and why you needed to know that in the first place.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yes. No, thank you. That helps a lot. Thank you.
I know that this subject goes out to everybody. So we have early childhood, primary and secondary all in the one class together. And these theories are still relevant for higher grades as well as the lower ones where the actual development is happening. So these are not just for, and especially Vygotsky and things like that. And some of those milestones for Piaget, they go through primary school all the way up to the beginning of high school. So it's good to be aware of what the students can and can't do because of the connections in their brain and are just not ready.
Yeah.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes,
This subject is for the primary education or is the secondary education or the both one?
everyone. So
Okay, all right.
early childhood, primary and secondary all do this subject together.
All right.
All right, so now we want to talk about where this theory fits into your assessment 1. Okay, so if we look at the criteria on your assessment 1, I think there's, I don't have it handy with me because I've made screenshots of it. There's about 3 or 4, I think, criterion. So the first criterion is understanding the theory and why it matters. Okay, so what the markers are going to look for are accurate and detailed understandings of the theories that explains how what you're describing relates to the theory. So you need to use correct terminology and show connections between the theorists and ideas. And you need to know what it is and how to explain it before you can apply it. All right. So the next picture I've got here is the second one, the second criteria, where it says demonstrate how theories that inform learning and development are implemented in learning and teaching context. So the first one is understand your theory. The second one is implementing it. Now, on your rubric, it's sometimes hard to interpret what outstanding means versus extremely good versus satisfactory. That feels difficult to articulate to me when I'm reading it. I'm going, well, what do you mean outstanding? What is outstanding? So outstanding would be clear and accurate application of the theory to a situation with an insightful link to the practice. Okay, so it's sort of deeper. So you're going to go tell me about the theory, you're going to tell me about the application, and then you're going to make some insightful link to the practice. Whereas a good might be only, you've told me what the theory is and you've said you can use it here, but you haven't really linked it to practice. Does that make sense? They always sound like gobbledygook, these rubrics. All right, so I've got an example here. I'm going to read it out to you. If your paragraph says, according to Vygotsky, social interaction supports learning, the teacher's use of pair work provides that interaction. That's pretty good, okay? That's getting up to outstanding because it's got theory and the teacher and the student outcome. Obviously, you have to expand that out a bit more than one sentence, but that's the kind of theory practice link you want to make. All right, in the chat, write one thing you could do in your writing to show how theory is implemented. What would that look like? Too early to say? I know it's like, what is it, the second day?
Give
So-
an example. So that could be like maybe a personal example or kind of something from a research study.
Yes, yeah. All right, so I've got another slide here with some, you keep putting your examples there in the chat. And here's an example I've got here on the slide. A minimal would say Piaget says children learn through stages, okay, but you haven't made a link. Piaget says children learn through stages. In this activity, the students are sorting objects which matches the concrete operational stage. Okay, so the children are in that concrete operational stage and they're using an activity where they're doing sorting, which is good because it matches that stage. Okay, so you've made a partial link there, but it's not quite clear what the link is. Okay, so in outstanding, we would say the teacher's use of hands-on sorting tasks reflects Piaget's concrete operational stage where learners classify objects to build logical thinking. This demonstrates how developmental stage informs task design. Can you see the difference between those three explanations of the same thing? Obviously, you would have to have quite, citations and stuff in your actual writing, but just in writing these little examples, I've just left that out for now. So in the first one, in minimal, you've said what the theory is. In good, you've said what the theory is and you've made a partial link to why the teacher is doing it, but it's not totally clear. And then in outstanding, you've done all three things. You've said what the theory is, you've said what stage the children are at, and you've said why the teacher is doing it. Does that make sense? So you want to have a nice, clear link and an accurate use of the theory and an explanation that shows you understand how that theory is playing out in the learning context. All right, so there should have been a link in the assessment folder for this reflective writing quick guide that will help you. I'll just flick over screen so you can see it. Oh, gone past it. I've got like a million tabs open, of course. All right, so if you click on that link or the one in the assessment folder, you'll get this from the Student Learning Zone, which is about reflective writing. So features of reflective writing that you want to watch out for is that you are going to have to write some of it in first person because you are doing things and you are seeing things and you are feeling things. Okay, so this person has realized that their values conflict. So that's a good example of reflection, that you've had a little realization about yourself. But then when you're talking about the theory, you want to swap to third person, and it says that somewhere there. See, just here, theory written in third person. So when you're talking about the theory, you're talking in third person, and when you're talking about your reflection, you're talking in first person. So you can use both first and third person as you write this reflection. Okay, so this is a nice little guide. And if you have any questions at all in between workshops and tutorials about the assessment, there is a dedicated discussion board on Blackboard for you to write questions about the assessment in. Okay, so if you've got questions after we finish here and you've had to think about it, just pop them up in that discussion board and I'll answer them there. All right, does anyone have any questions about that? Malik, hopefully it is on the assessment tab. Yes, Reb has put that in. I will double check as soon as we finish here, but I'm pretty sure I put it there. All right. Awesome. Excellent. Okay, so we've done the workshop. A couple of people have done the tutorial as well because they added another one in this morning. And the rest I'll see either this afternoon or tomorrow for the tutorials. We've looked at what theories are and why they matter. And we want to be able to analyze learners and choose teaching approaches that are based on the theories, okay? Because the theories are telling us how things work and we want things to work, okay? So my little focus question there, how does understanding development help teachers choose effective learning experiences? What do we think about that? How does understanding development help teachers choose effective learning experiences? Does anyone want to say something about that?
Hello, Vicky. I would like to respond to your question. I think if teachers have this understanding about the development, they can apply different strategies to different students, even to the for example, you can't have a same strategy to deal with the students having different development stages because someone may be very good student, someone may be a weak, but maybe he's a weak in one subject and he may be very good in another subject. So you cannot apply
Yeah.
same strategy to deal with the same student. So it's very, I think, effective way to know the development and then apply the theory and strategy to cope with any problem that a student is facing in a class.
Yeah. I'm noticing a question in the chat there. Could a single behavior use multiple teaching theories? And that's definitely yes. I think you have to sort of, because they're not competing with each other, the theories, they're all telling you different parts of the whole story. It's like the blind man and the elephant, you know, they're all telling you different parts of the complete picture. So it's best if you can understand all the theories and know what sort of things you're looking for, I think. Yes, and it can be specific from student to student because I think that's partly because of this, there's no one developmental trajectory thing, you know, there's multiple different paths. So different students are going to be different.
Vicky, I just had a good look through that assessment folder and I couldn't find that document.
Okay, I will put it up as soon as I get off here. I thought I had done that, but I will do that next. Maybe it's in the brief. Is it in the brief, Reb?
I'll just have a look.
Okay, apparently it isn't there. That's the link to it. Jim has put the link up.
No, it's not in the brief.
Okay, I'll do it as soon as I get off here, which I'm just about to do, I think, because we're on the 50 there. So that's all I've got. If you have other questions, I'm happy to stay and answer questions.
Vicky, sorry, Edward here. I watched your tutorial for this morning session. If that's okay, or should I rejoin live in the evening? I already watched your recording.
Yeah, no, that's fine, Edward. That's fine. There's 4 different tutorials for this subject.
Yep.
I'll probably just put the one recording up from each week rather than have 4 recordings. But yeah, this morning's recording is there at the moment. So if you've already watched it, you don't have to come if you don't want to.
Thank you,
It's
Vicky.
tutorials are more about hands-on sort of thinking. So there's more questions in there, I think. If you haven't got a hand up.
After completing this class, like you will take the attendance or don't
No,
need
there's no
anything?
attendance for this.
And how
Okay.
about like, as you mentioned, there are 4 different tutorials, different times. So can we attend any one, or is like one which we have enrolled, we have to just go with that?
Yeah, you should have signed up to one when you
Yeah, we do.
enrolled, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is in afternoon, so just
Yeah,
asking.
same. Mine one is also in afternoon, 3 to 5.
In the after 3
Yeah.
till 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, so after this.
Yeah, after this next one.
And then there's 6 till 8.
Yeah.
There's 2 nighttime ones
Yeah,
as
my
well.
one is 6 to 8. So that's what I'm asking. Can I join 3 to 5 hours? Like, it won't allow me to do that.
Are you still there, Reb? I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay, no worries.
Oh, I don't know if it'll let you in. I mean, they're all there, so just give it a go. Give it a go because it's got the passcode there. So I don't see why it wouldn't. So it's up to you to sort of make sure that you do attend or at least watch a recording afterwards, but you do get much more out of it if you attend, and all of the data does show that people who attend the live tutorials do tend to do better on assessment because you can ask the questions that are relevant for you.
Yeah, I understand. That makes sense.
My data also from where I taught previously showed me that if people didn't come, they hardly ever watched the recording. So
Oh, that's interesting. We know even if you're watching the recordings or not, there's no escape.
yes, we do. All right. But again, it's up to you. If you want to come at a certain time, come at a certain time. It's fine.
Hi, Vicky. Sorry,
Hello.
hi there. My name is Kavishka. So sorry, I joined the course very last minute, technically yesterday, and so excuse me if I asked a bit of a stupid question, but from my understanding, because I work full time, the tutorials, like you said, and as well as the workshops, attendance is not required, but we can watch recordings. My other
Yes.
question is that I did see something where it said that there was like I think as a discussion post, like an assignment is due is it like each Monday, or is there anything like that, or
That must be a different
a
subject.
different subject?
I
Okay.
don't have any required discussion posts, and I don't have any quizzes. I just have the two written
Okay.
assessments. So you've got the portfolio
Okay.
that I was talking about before,
Yeah.
and you've got the thing that's like a case study, a little classroom scenario.
Okay. No worries. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other
Yeah.
questions?
Hi, Vicky. This is Sadia.
Hello.
Yeah, this is Sadia. So I just want to ask if there's any exam at the end of this core unit, or there are only assessments.
Yes, that's right. Just the two assessments, no exams, no quizzes.
Okay. Thank you for that.
No worries. I've got some like formative practice questions throughout the modules. Again, you don't have to answer those if you don't want to. They're just later I'm going to talk to you about retrieval, and they are formative assessment for retrieval purposes. That's a very good learning strategy to use for yourself and for your students. So I have them in the content.
Okay.
And this is the two assessments, I think. The first one is portfolio and the second one is case study. Is it right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Hi, Vicky. We have only two assessments, both for tutorial and both for workshop. Okay.
The two assessments. One
For
assessment is
tutorial and workshop, is this same?
for the online.
Yeah, yeah, for the
So
online.
for the class time, we have one workshop that's for everybody, and then we
Okay.
have one tutorial that are broken into smaller groups. So we could have up to 500 people in this workshop class, but there's supposed to be only up to 100 in each of the tutorial classes.
And how about that?
We will submit only two assessments. For
Yes,
this
two
month.
assessments. The two assessments are week 3 and week 6. So the one in week 3 is the portfolio, and the one in week 6 is the case study.
And it is ending on week 3, Sunday midnight. The due
I think
date.
it's Friday. Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Friday midnight. And then the second one is week 6, Friday midnight.
Midnight. Okay, one more question. Do we
Yep.
need to submit any kind of work like in 1 week, 1, 2, and then no, not like other
No,
subject, just only one
no.
assessment ending with the week 3. All right.
Yeah, so the two assessments, one in
Mm.
week 3, one in week 6.
Okay, thank you.
Hey Vicky, just a quick question.
Hey. Yep.
Yeah, with the recordings, have they already been uploaded or does it take a certain amount of time?
It's automatic. So it's all goes through Zoom, and as soon as I stop recording, it processes it and puts it up. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete 3 and leave just one of the tutorials so that there's
Yep.
not a heap of tutorials there every week.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the recording, so everything under cloud recordings, and it says you do not have any recordings. So I'm just wondering if they have been
I'm pretty
uploaded.
sure they sent me, well, didn't Edward say he already watched it this morning? I will double check that, but I'm pretty sure Zoom already sent me a thing saying that one went up this morning.
Oh, good. Yeah, I just refreshed the page and now it showed up. Thanks.
Okay, cool.
Vicky, just one question regarding to the references. Is there any minimum numbers of references that you would like to have in assessments? Like maybe 10 or maybe 8, 5, whatever. I mean, if you just suggest, thank you for that.
Yes, there is criteria number 4 in the rubric is about the references, and I think for outstanding it's more than 5.
Thank you for that.
Vicky, it's Reb.
No worries.
I'm getting
Yes.
direct messages, people asking about the on-campus tutorial times. Where can they find?
Yes. It should be in there, the timetable.
Yeah, it should be in your timetable because I'm teaching one on Fridays at Gold Coast, but obviously there's other campuses as well.
Yes, should be in their timetable. The Perth people have got an online tutorial, I think, and the Melbourne people. I think the only ones that I know that have got the live in-person ones are yours, Reb.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we all good?
Yes, ma'am.
Because
Okay, you go first.
I got it. Can I leave the class?
yes, I'm going to leave the class in a second too, because I've got to go to the next ones. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Vicky.
One more question?
Hi, Vicky. I'm just
no more.
wondering
Okay.
how long it takes for us to get feedback after we submit our assignment 1, the portfolio. Do we get feedback before the submission of assignment 2? No.
No. Oh, well, assignment 2 is different from assignment 1. So there will be feedback from assignment 1. It takes 7 days for marking. So you'll get that definitely before you submit assignment 2. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
No worries.
Also, one last final quick question. Do you have advice? Should we attend the workshop first or tutorial first? Which one is there a correct order?
I don't think there is a correct order according to the timetable. The way I wrote them with the workshop first because all the tutorials were after the workshop. But then on like Monday, they added another tutorial which is before the workshop.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I don't think it really matters. I try to focus slightly differently on the two. So.
Got it. Thanks.
No worries. All right, I gotta go because I gotta go to the tutorial where I guess I'll see some of you again. If you still have questions, you can put them in the discussion or ask me when you get to the tutorial. Okay. Otherwise, I'll see you when I see you.
Thanks, Vicky.
Thank you, Vicky.
Thanks, Vicky.
Rebecca.
Thanks, Vicky. Bye-bye.
Bye.